Before we start, hit like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. And tell me, where are you watching from? And what time is it there right now? Thanks. I was 15 when my mom made me go to Travis's house. "It's just one night," she said. "He's new too. Be nice." Travis had transferred from somewhere in Ohio a month earlier, skinny and awkward, with an overbite and the kind of posture that made adults ask if he played cello. He wasn't popular, but he wasn't weird either. Just invisible. His house sat at the edge of our suburban loop in Greenwood, Indiana. A two-story fixer-upper with paint peeling from the siding and a porch light that flickered like it was about to give up. When I got there, the first thing I noticed was the smell, bleach, sharp and recent. Like someone had mopped right before I rang the doorbell. Travis answered with a crooked smile. "Hey, come in." His mom appeared behind him, pale and tired, wringing her hands on a dish towel. "You boys have fun," she said, her eyes darting past me, then to the hallway. That's when I heard the first sound, low, rhythmic scraping, coming from beneath the floorboards. His dad, standing by the basement door, calmly clicked a padlock shut. Then he looked at her and said, "Not tonight, okay?" She didn't answer. We played video games in his room, ate microwave pizza that tasted like rubber, and scrolled Reddit until our eyes blurred. Travis didn't talk much, but when he laughed, it was too loud, like he wasn't used to the sound. I tried to ignore the weirdness. Every house has quirks, but the whole time I could feel it. A pressure under the floor. The basement door was at the end of the hallway, past the kitchen. The light above it flickered, and every time it did, I thought I saw a movement in the shadows. At one point, I walked by and paused. The air coming from the crack beneath the door was cold, wet. I leaned closer and heard it again. Scratch, scratch, like metal on concrete. "Old pipes," Travis said suddenly behind me. I jumped. He laughed. "This place is ancient. Makes noises all night." Around midnight, we unrolled sleeping bags on his bedroom floor. Travis fell asleep fast, snoring lightly, arms above his head like a little kid. I lay there for a long time, staring at the ceiling, the hum of his fan mixing with the creaks and groans of the house. Then the whispering started. At first, I thought it was the TV downstairs, but no, the cadence was wrong, too slow. "Left me here. Left me here." A voice, low and raspy, repeating itself. I sat up. The whispering was coming from the floor vent. I crawled over, pressed my ear to it. The voice stopped. Then something else. A wet breath. Just one. Like someone exhaling inches from the other side. I froze. And that's when I noticed Travis. He wasn't asleep. His eyes were barely open, watching me. The next morning, I woke up on the floor alone. Travis was downstairs eating cereal, acting like nothing had happened. I wanted to ask about the voice, but what was I going to say? "Hey man, who's whispering from your basement at 2 a.m.? Instead, I said, "Your basement door still locked?" He nodded, chewing. "Always. Dad's paranoid." "About what?" "Guns, I think." His little sister, Ellie, wandered in. She looked about 6. Blonde hair and crooked pigtails, unicorn socks. She sat next to me and whispered, "He doesn't like it when people open the door." I blinked. "Who doesn't?" She didn't answer, just started drawing with a purple marker. Travis didn't seem to notice. Later, when she left the room, I saw the drawing she left behind. A staircase. A stick figure at the bottom. No face. Just long black lines where the eyes should be. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in my sleeping bag, fully clothed, phone clutched in my hand under the blanket. Around 1:40 a.m., the house went still. Then, from downstairs, click. the unmistakable sound of a padlock being opened. I held my breath. Footsteps. Slow. Careful. Coming up the stairs. The hallway light was off, but I could see shadows moving under the crack of the door. Travis didn't move. I sat up, heart pounding, and stepped out of the room. The floor was cold. I crept down the hallway, barefoot, until I reached the basement door. It was open, only a few inches. The air coming out smelled like wet earth and something else, like rot masked with Lysol. I pushed it open. The stairs groaned. I didn't go down, just enough to peek. The light was on. At the bottom, a stained mattress, a stack of canned food, and a small tape recorder. Still running. I stepped back as the recorder played. Left me here, left me here, left me. The next morning, Travis walked me to the door. Neither of us said much. Just before I stepped outside, I asked, "Who's down there?" He looked at me, then past me like watching something move in the distance. "If I don't let him out sometimes," he said quietly, "he does worse." I nodded. Didn't ask anything else. Didn't tell my mom. Didn't tell anyone. A few weeks later, the house was up for sale. No explanation. Just gone. Sometimes, when I lie awake at night, I think about that whisper. Not the words, the tone. It wasn't angry. It was patient. Like it knew I'd be back. I was 13 the first time I stayed over at Marley's trailer. It was the kind of place our moms usually avoided. Gravel driveways, dented metal siding, and stray cats darting under porches. But Marley had begged me all week at school. "Come on," she said. "Just one night, my grandma won't even notice." Her grandma didn't drive, didn't cook, didn't talk much. She stayed in a room with an oxygen machine and a TV loud enough to hear from the road. The rest of the trailer smelled like peach air freshener and cigarettes that had been smoked down to the filter. It was hot inside. Sticky hot. I kept tugging at the hem of my t-shirt while Marley locked the door with an extra chain, even though it wasn't even dark yet. "You don't have to lock it like that," I said, trying to sound casual. She shrugged. "People around here suck." I didn't ask what she meant. After dinner, boxed mac and cheese and warm Sprite, we watched a horror movie on the TV in the living room. Marley kept fast-forwarding to the good parts, which meant anything with blood or screaming. Her grandma's door was closed the whole time, a soft mechanical whir leaking under it. The house groaned now and then, like it was stretching its joints. Marley pulled out a bag of makeup from under the couch, and we painted each other's nails. Mine came out streaky. "Want to see something?" she asked suddenly, eyes bright. I nodded. She leaned in, like it was a secret. "There's a hideout behind the last row of trailers. You can only see it if you go through the trees." I waited for her to say she was joking. She didn't. "We can go tonight," she added. "After Grandma falls asleep." I hesitated. I didn't bring shoes. Barefoot's better anyway. Quieter. It was close to 2 a.m. when Marley nudged me awake. The movie had ended hours ago. Her grandma's oxygen machine hummed steadily from behind the closed door. "Come on," she whispered. "Now's the time." I followed her to the bathroom, where she unlatched the small window above the toilet. The screen was already popped out. She climbed out first, quick and practiced, then motioned for me to follow. The air outside was thick and humid. My feet sank slightly into the soft dirt. Crickets screamed all around us, and somewhere farther off, a dog barked once, then stopped. We moved past 3 trailers, staying low behind bushes and junk piles. The gravel stung my heels, and I winced every few steps. Marley didn't seem to feel anything. At the edge of the lot, a narrow path opened into the trees, just a few feet deep, but thick enough to block the view from the trailers. The air changed there. Cooler, heavier, like it hadn't moved in days. "We're close," she whispered. Marley pushed aside a branch, revealing a mess of tarps, sticks, and flattened cardboard. Someone's attempt at a shelter. I froze. There was a half-empty jug of water, a rusted flashlight, and a small plastic crate stuffed with random things. Cigarette butts, food wrappers, old receipts. Marley knelt beside it like she'd done it 100 times. "He's not here tonight. I already checked." "He who?" I asked. My voice sounded too loud. She didn't answer. Instead, she reached into the crate and pulled out a handful of torn photographs. Some were old Polaroids, water-damaged and curling at the edges. One had a burned corner. She handed me one. "Look." It was a picture of me. Not recent, but not old either. I was standing in front of our school, backpack slung over one shoulder, head tilted mid-laugh. I didn't remember it being taken. My fingers went cold. "Where did you get this?" I asked. "He keeps stuff," she said. "Things he likes." My stomach turned. Marley suddenly stood up, shoulders stiff. "We have to go." "What? Why?" She didn't answer, just stared into the darkness behind me. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Not heavy, but purposeful. Moving through the brush in a steady rhythm. Closer. Closer. My mouth went dry. I backed up, bumping into a tree trunk. Marley grabbed my arm and pulled me down into a crouch. "Don't move," she whispered. The footsteps stopped. Then a voice, low and grainy, like it hadn't been used in days. "You girls like to snoop?" Marley covered her mouth. Branches cracked somewhere to our left. The man wasn't standing still. He was circling. I could hear him breathing. Not rushed. Not angry. Just patient. Like he knew the woods better than we ever would. I looked at Marley, eyes wide. Her lip trembled. I thought he was gone. We bolted. No signal, just instinct. Crashing through brush, roots snagging at our ankles, thorns slicing our arms. Marley tripped once, and I yanked her up. Behind us, the footsteps gave chase. Not running, just following. Measured. Confident. We reached the back fence of the trailer lot. Marley boosted me up, and I climbed over, landing hard on my knees in the gravel. She followed, panting. We didn't stop running until we reached the side of her trailer. The window was still open. She pushed me through first, then scrambled in behind me, yanking it shut. Inside, the air felt like syrup. Her grandma's oxygen machine still hummed, oblivious to everything. Marley locked the door, bolted it, chained it. Then she turned to me and whispered, "You can't tell anyone." I stared at her. "Why not?" She didn't blink. "Because if you do, he'll come back." I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I lay there, eyes fixed on the ceiling, every creak outside sounding like footsteps. Marley didn't say another word. She curled up on the couch with a blanket pulled over her head. At sunrise, I texted my mom to come get me early. Told her I wasn't feeling well. She didn't ask questions. When she pulled up, I didn't say goodbye. I just got in the car, barefoot, gravel stuck to my feet, my heart still beating too fast. A few days later, I heard sirens near Marley's trailer park. Rumors at school said someone tried to break into one of the homes. No one got hurt. No one was caught. Marley didn't come back to school that week, or the week after. Eventually, she stopped showing up altogether. Her name wasn't on the attendance list anymore. Nobody asked where she went. I never told anyone about that night. Not my mom. Not the school counselor. Not even years later, when I finally moved out of town. But sometimes, when I see a flash of a blue tarp in the woods off a highway, or hear footsteps behind me on a quiet street, I think about that voice. "You girls like to snoop?" And I remember what Marley said. "You can't tell anyone, or he'll come back." I was 12 when my parents left me with my aunt and uncle for the weekend. They were headed to a wedding in Boston, no kids allowed, and apparently my cousin Noah had been dying to hang out with me. Noah lived in a narrow 2-story house just outside a small town in Vermont, tucked behind a line of pine trees so thick they blocked out the sun by late afternoon. The driveway was gravel, the house old and crooked, like it had settled unevenly over time. It smelled like wet wood and dryer sheets inside. My aunt hugged me quickly, already rushing off to a shift at the hospital. My uncle mumbled something from behind a laptop. Noah was the only one really paying attention. He grinned as I dropped my backpack in the hallway. "You're sleeping in my old room," he said. "The one upstairs, with the closet." I didn't get why he said it like that. Like the closet was the interesting part. The room was small and cold. The window faced the trees and the walls were bare except for a single cracked poster of some band I didn't know. But what caught my attention was the closet. It had a sliding door, old wood with a horizontal grain, and bolted to the outside was a metal latch lock, the kind you usually find on garden gates. "Why is it locked from the outside?" I asked. Noah smiled. "That's the punishment closet. I used to play games in there." I didn't know what to say to that. Inside, I saw some toys. Headless action figures, tangled jump ropes, a stuffed animal with one eye missing. The air was stale, like it hadn't been opened in weeks. He shut the door and slid the latch. Just the sound of it made my chest tighten. After dinner, macaroni with barely melted cheese and lukewarm hot dogs, Noah wanted to play a game. His parents had gone to bed early, their bedroom door closed. The hallway quiet, except for the ticking of a wall clock. "I dare you to do 2 minutes in the closet," he said. "Bet you can't." I laughed, nervous. "What do I win?" He shrugged. "Respect." That was enough. I stepped in. He tossed in a small flashlight and slid the door shut. I heard the latch snap into place. Total dark. I clicked the flashlight on. It barely worked, flickering, dim. I saw a doll head in the corner, its face melted and stained. Something sharp poked at my leg. The smell was worse inside. Not just dust or mildew, something sour, like sweat and something else I couldn't name. 30 seconds in, I bumped something hanging from a hook. It brushed my face. Thin, wiry hair. I dropped the flashlight. I banged on the door. "Okay, done. Let me out." Silence. Then Noah's voice, casual. "1 more minute." When he finally let me out, I stumbled into the hallway, heart pounding. My shirt was damp from sweat. "You made it," he said, grinning like I'd passed some secret test. Most kids don't. That night, I barely slept. I lay on the twin bed, staring at the closet across the room. The latch was back in place, but it felt like it could open at any second. And in the dark, I saw something that made my stomach flip. Scratches on the inside of the closet door, deep and uneven, like someone had tried to claw their way out. I didn't say anything the next day. Not to my aunt. Not to my uncle. I just kept avoiding the closet. The next day, Noah barely spoke to me until after lunch. Then, out of nowhere, he asked, "Do you think you could stay in there overnight?" I laughed, hoping it was a joke. "No way." He didn't laugh. "It's easier if you don't fight it. You stop thinking after a while. Just float." I stared at him. "You've done that?" He nodded. "Only once. I saw things." That night, I locked the bedroom door from the inside. I could hear Noah walking up and down the hallway. Once, he stopped outside my door. Just stood there. No knock. No voice. Just breathing. I didn't move. In the morning, he was already downstairs, eating cereal like nothing had happened. On the last day, while Noah was outside, I opened the closet again. Not because I wanted to, but because I needed to understand. Inside, I found more than toys. There was a small backpack, hidden under a pile of clothes. No name on it. Zipper broken. I opened it. Inside, a torn notebook, half burned. A cracked plastic bracelet. A school ID tag with the name scratched out. I stepped back, heart thudding. Then I heard Noah behind me. "You weren't supposed to see that," he said. I turned. He wasn't angry. He just looked disappointed. "You ruined it." That evening, I told my aunt I wasn't feeling well and asked if my parents could pick me up early. She didn't ask questions, just handed me ginger ale and turned the TV louder. When I went upstairs to pack, Noah was sitting on the edge of the bed, staring at the closet. "You're not gonna tell anyone," he said softly. Not a question, just a statement. "I won't," I said, which was true. I didn't even know how I'd explain it. He nodded once. "She doesn't like when people leave." I didn't ask who she was. On the drive home, I didn't say much. My mom thought I was just tired. I didn't mention the scratches, or the smell, or the backpack. I didn't mention Noah's voice at the door at 2 a.m., whispering my name. Years later, I ran into him at a gas station just off the interstate. He looked exactly the same, just taller. Same grin, same eyes. We made small talk. Then as I turned to leave, I asked, joking sort of, "You still have that closet?" He smiled. "No," he said. "She liked you more."